Hey y'all, welcome to the channel. I'm Nicole Coco Patrice, and today we are going to look into a reaction that has obviously taken the internet by storm. Amanda Seals sitting down. I guess it's called Jubilee is the production company or platform, and basically Miss Seals took on 20 Black conservatives. And me considering myself a Black conservative, which is a pretty new phenomenon for myself, being that I was raised extremely Democratic. Like raised Democratic is crazy it is in and of itself, but we'll get into how that came to be, or many of you already understand that, especially if you are Black and from the Black community. You already know that you're just kind of indoctrinated into your political leanings, which is unfortunate. I mean, that it's not exclusive to political leanings, but anyway, as we'll see here, there's definitely a cultish mentality around how Black people are supposed to exercise their civil rights, how they are supposed to exercise their political involvement. And Amanda Seals really laid some of the 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 main issues that conservatives have with dealing with trying to find a consensus in our community as Black conservatives, as outliers within the political spectrum of so-called quote unquote Blackness, how we are alienated and attacked viciously with no basis in reality. Usually no fact can override the emotionality that comes with expressing your thoughts on policy, whether they affect you unilaterally or not. A lot of the conversations that you have with your so-called Black liberal friends, if they are heavily indoctrinated, if they are heavily baptized in the cultish democratic ways, they will attack you and they will not find that consensus, even though we are ultimately striving for the same solutions. And so here Miss Amanda Seals went and, like I said, made herself the poster child for I'll just say it, crazy Black liberal women. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Amanda Seals. She is an actress, a comedian, not really funny in my opinion, a somewhat decent actress. She was on Issa Rae's Insecure. There was an issue with her and Issa Rae falling out. There was also an issue with I think his name is Myron Rolle, who was a former NFL player who became a neurosurgeon. And there was a whole thing where she effectively ended up giving the floor to unfounded allegations of him being sexually aggressive, maybe harassing women in their DMs, and positioned herself in a way that she was able to throw a rock and hide her hand, essentially. And then media like the Griot made an article where they tried to defend her, but ultimately she, you put a higher standard on other media than you did the person who started the rumor themselves, or helped add flames to rumors, gave ground to women who wanted to make unfounded accusations and potentially tear down a Black man. So several Black men, were turned off by this, as they should have, rightfully so. I definitely was one of the people who took note of this and found that to be very distasteful, very irresponsible, especially, like I said, having now to do like an Uno reverse and then be like, oh, but the media should have not framed it like that. No, you framed it like that. You very much framed it like that, and you were gonna let the narrative run out of control until you started getting called out for it. If she had a Black son and was on the receiving end of this, her son was on the receiving end of this, maybe she would see it differently, but I don't know. As you can see, this woman, you will see, in my opinion, is very irrational. But let's just go ahead and jump right into it. All right. So Jubilee, Amanda Seals versus 20 Black conservatives.
Culture is toxic. And let's get on the fact that there's no fathers
So
in
white
the black
culture
home. Let's
stop.
Who do
You're
we vote
talking
for?
to a radical, not a Democrat. The radical mind state simply is living opposite to our colonizers, which is an imperialist, capitalist mind state, and radical Blacks do not believe that that is any way for us to have liberation. Well, here's
So
what
when
you all keep doing.
no,
You keep interrupting me when I'm talking, and you don't want to hear the point that I'm going to make. And yet you want me to respect your point. And that's not how a debate works. If I show you respect, give me the respect back. Ooh, I knew I was going to be surrounded by ignorance, but damn, let's go.
The instant headache. Like, I mean, the instant headache is just like, girl, first of all, why are you yelling? Okay. Second of all, like the being radical and then having the definition of that be just opposing white thought or white, quote unquote, white imperialist mindset with no nuance, with no discretion, with no, it screams ignorance to me. So it's just basically I'm reactionary, I'm emotional, and I'm living through trauma is how I hear that, because you have to look at nuance and you have to be able to hear other people out. And shit. So that literally those clips right there are encapsulate all of the dynamic here of how she reacted. And I know one of the gentlemen posted on his social media platforms how nasty some of the stuff that never even made the final cut ended up going, how the vibe was just really bad and the energy was really bad from her. I saw one post state that the more crazy or deranged the liberal woman, Black liberal especially, the crazier the glasses, the crazier the hair in the wardrobe. And I hate that because I like wearing weird glasses, but I've had to stop because I don't want people to think of these crazy deranged liberal women.
Greetings. I am Amanda Seals, widely known as a comedian, an actress, a disruptor.
The shaking of her head with widely known as a comedian and actress. The body language in the subconscious is a hell of a thing.
An annoying person on the internet who always tells the truth. And
she agreed with that.
I am now an artistic intellectual who commits myself to making art that educates. And today, I am surrounded by 20 Black conservatives. My first claim is it is undeniable that reparations are just and necessary.
Stop taking meeting notes.
All right, reparations, fair, necessary. My question would be, who's going to get it? Why would they get it? And how long are we going to sit here focusing on trying to get reparations? It's been how many years since slavery? 150 years, 1865? Whenever there's a real thing that this country wants to do, they do it. Stop Asian hate. Okay, there's a problem with the Asian hate. Let's draft a bill, sign it, and it's done. Anything needs to be done is done. With us, it's a carrot they dangle in front of us that they don't really want to do. And it's not going to help. We need education. Oh, it's not going to help. No, it's not. We need education. Getting a check from the government is not going to do that. And we need proper education. A lot of us go to these institutions where we're not really prepared, we're not really focused, and we don't get things that help us in the real world. So if you want to help Black people, a check from the government, from our tax dollars is going to get raised, because let's be clear, everybody in here is Black. We all American, we all got to pay taxes. It'll go to that. So I don't really see how this is going to help us at all.
Okay. Well, first I'll start with, it will help on even just a moral level. The reality is that the United States has become very comfortable with the fact that it does not consider Black people equal. And it shows that in many ways that I'm sure we will discuss over the course of today. But ultimately, there has not been a committed, concerted effort to shifting the mindset around the use of Black people as a labor force in this nation back when it was slavery, now in the use of slavery as slave labor in prisons. So on a basic cultural level, reparations are an act of repair. They are an effort to say, our bad, we see you now. We have seen that done with Japanese folks who were put in internment camps. We have seen that done with Jewish folks. We have seen that done even in the case of slave owners who received reparations. When it comes to the use of tax dollars to pay reparations, and this is going to come up a lot today, it's a matter of values, right? For me, my value system circulates around the fact that I think that as a community, we should all be engaged in repair for our community. So I don't think there should be any problem with there being tax dollars spent at repairing consistent efforts that have been made to impede Black people.
So it's like, all right, fine, but then you ignore, you know, welfare, DEI, and all these other platforms for Democrats that have kept them in office and kept them dangling the carrot, like the gentleman said, in front of us for their votes, for our votes. But these programs have been misused and misappropriated. So again, like he said, without the education, without the change in mindset, honestly, from this dependency, because like she said, okay, well, we're repairing the harm of not taking Black people at face value, not deeming us human and worthy of, you know, citizenship and our autonomy, right? Well, when you do handouts, you're furthering that mindset for some people, especially people who feel like something is owed to them, for them to be able to live and work at full capacity. Yeah, it's a moral retribution, but when you think about it in practice, you know, versus theory, if you are constantly waiting on someone to make you whole, then you've already determined that you are not whole. If you can't force the issue by this time, like he said, it's been all these years, then what does that say about your power? And what does that continue to put in the minds of your children and future generations when you continually look back at the worst time in your history, and ignore all of the equalizers that have been put in place, whether you can see them as such, whether they've been labeled as such, whether they've been set aside for you or not, and you don't take advantage of what opportunities you have because you're still living through trauma and a victimhood mind state. So I'm gonna skip ahead because I don't want to make this long, but that was definitely one of my issues. This was like one of the best interactions here was with this young man, because what the hell?
My name is Matt Nuclear.
Hello, Matt. Matt Nuclear?
Matt Nuclear, yes.
Matt Nuclear, give me a better handshake than that. Let's do it.
All right. Now look at how she immediately condescended with trying to make her voice sound like this, because like, yeah, he's obviously like some Republican cornball in her mind, you know, oh, this is how you talk. Really? We can make fun of how you talk, Amanda. We can make fun of you, but we're here to discuss the issues because ultimately we're trying to, you know, fight for justice for our people. But you want to make fun of Black people for having their own experiences.
Actually having this conversation with a beautiful Black woman like yourself. This is nice, beautiful arena here.
You get what I'm saying? The condescending, like all of that. Like she is just ugh.
I disagree that reparations are necessary. I think the most important thing that's necessary right now for the Black community would be the stopping of violence, especially Black on Black violence. I don't see how reparations is going to solve anything. You can.
Why the exasperation here? So this is my biggest issue with especially Black women. You are disturbed by the thought of resolving Black on Black violence by calling it a Black on Black violence. It is. It's exactly what it is. I don't know what the issue is with calling it Black on Black, and it's exactly what it is. And it's happening at a disproportionate rate. And thus you have the incarceration. Thus you have the deaths. Thus you have the crime. Thus you have the over policing, like the lack of value in building and commercial development in your neighborhoods. All these things roll into where our situation is just exacerbated constantly, but you're exasperated with the thought of even addressing it, with even calling what it is.
Give everyone here like a $50,000 check, especially people that are in the streets who are committing violent crimes consistently. A $50,000 check, it's not going to fix anything. It's not going to increase the median household income in the next 10 years by 10% or 20%. For example, we have the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882. We prevented Chinese people from getting citizenship and even entering the country. We discriminate against them and basically put them under apartheid, even here in the United States. Yet they have the highest median household income. How is that possible? How come they don't complain?
And I'm sorry, look at this fact check. They were willing to work, talking about the Chinese workers during 1882 Chinese Exclusion Act. They were sending money back to their families, and they were willing to work for lower wages than Americans. This has not changed. This is exactly the trope that Democrats are telling you about. They're working the jobs that Americans don't want to work. Okay, they're an asset to farms and other places because they're going to take a lower wage. This is slavery 2.0. When we're talking about immigration and open borders, this is slavery 2.0. And then they want to make the argument that you can't say as a Black person that your status is threatened, that your neighborhoods are threatened, that your jobs are threatened, that you have Black jobs, right? We're already treated as the underclass. This is the given. This is what you've already agreed to, Miss Amanda Seals, that we are in a lower status position. And then now we're fighting with people who are going to take even lower wages and undercut us. I don't know why all of this is inflammatory. It's literally what's happening.
And feel entitled consistently to beg for reparations and beg for this when they are killing each other 90% of the time, which is the rate that Black people kill each other, according to the FBI.
Oh, young Matt.
Which is 8% higher than the average white on white or Asian on Asian or Latino on Latino crime rate. Like 10%, like 8% points higher. But we can't acknowledge that, especially given how we are the smallest percent of the population. The smaller percent of the population, not the smallest, but the smaller percent of the population.
Yet white people are the oppressors.
According to the Department of Justice, homicide victimization rate for Black persons, 21.3 per 100,000, was more than 6 times the rate of white persons, 3.2 per 100,000. We're supposed to ignore these statistics because it hurts our feelings. But reparations.
I'm not sure where your education came from, but they lied.
Condescending. Okay, I'm not sure where your education came from. Obviously, this man is well educated. He came with nothing but facts
to you.
Stats don't lie, though.
Statistics lie all the time. So let's start there. Particularly
this hyper sensationalism of stats lie. Like, of course, here and there, a statistic will tell a quote unquote lie. But this is why you have peer review. This is why you test new theories. This is why you compare how the data was accumulated and all these other factors. So for her to sit here and just say the stats lie, like just say you don't understand his argument, or just say that you're too ignorant to base your argument on statistics and fact.
When the statistics are coming from the sources that gain from the statistics being shown a different way. So if you're gonna start your argument,
this is the artistic intellectual coming out. She's like, I'm gonna paint a different picture with my intellect, as limited as it is.
Argument on stats don't lie. You've already lost the argument. They lie. They lie all the time. One, comparing Chinese people who are immigrants that made a choice to come to the United States and comparing the continued effort of Black people to ground themselves in a nation that continues to make impediments for them to show and live and exist in their true citizenship is a false equivalency.
And who's been doing that, ma'am? We've had Democratic rule in most of our major cities for years and years and years.
I don't believe that happens at all. What? No one here is in.
Are you acting right now? Do you really?
Are you acting right now? The condescension is insane. She is so disrespectful to this young man, and he's done nothing but just present a very valid argument for her to address on its merits, but she's refusing to do so.
I'm telling the truth. There's no systemic racism that I've experienced here in America. What system is racist? I think the only racism we've actually seen recently, systemic racism that we've seen, is the application of systemic racism against white people. The University of Western Washington, for example, has been trying to segregate dormitories, using Black-only dormitories because Black people feel safer amongst each other. But
I mean, he has a point there. If some of these things were done outright by white people, we would be screaming from the rooftops.
They're more likely to kill each other than white people are ever to kill them. That's just the truth. You have King Von rapping about killing other Black men. Why should I think that the white man is the oppressor when Black men are more likely to kill me?
Oh my God, this is.
I mean, do you have a real answer though? Like, do you have a real answer for why we can't go outside without being in fear of our lives in our own community constantly?
Scary. You need to think about me as your mama. Do not talk to me in that fashion.
Think about me as your mama is crazy. Like, first of all, what gives you the right to even elevate yourself to the same status as the woman who gave me life? A. B, you are clearly not going to address his real issues. He's crazy. It's funny. You're mocking him. His stats are scary to you, but they are real. And if you are really here for the progression, the progress of Black community, then you should be able to at least have this discussion in a like like a good faith discussion. This is literally you just trying to condescend and make ad hominem attacks on his personality and what you think he represents in the Black community, because it doesn't align with your thoughts on quote unquote radical Blackness.
So let's check that now. Okay. So on a basic level, we have to understand that systemic racism is grounded in the realities that Black people have not been considered an equal human being in this country since its onset. So there's simply no way to make the argument that there isn't systemic racism. And we have seen it.
No, there is a way. We've had plenty of, like I said, reparative efforts, but they've been overtaken because Black people don't exercise their true citizenship, because people like you and people in media and people in politics that are grifting and surviving off of that grift are allowed to keep making Black people the pets and the little pet project and the subhumans who always need someone to give them a leg up. But hey, just hold on 1 second. We'll give you the full breadth of what you deserve once you vote for us. And then it never happens.
Very clear ways the system operate in an organically racist way. Do not cut me off. When we talk about systemic racism, we can start with even the fact that redlining, which was implemented to discriminate Black communities. Are you shaking your head that redlining doesn't exist?
No, I'm saying I don't think it really existed at all. I mean, no, I don't think so at all.
So it does exist. And stating that it doesn't exist doesn't make it no longer exist. Redlining absolutely exists. It is not something that's being made up. It's an empirical fact. And there are realities that exist because of redlining.
So now she can come with empirical facts. I'm not disagreeing with her here. Yes, redlining is real, was real, still happens in some practice. But I'm still gonna die on the hill of, if you know the tricks, if you know someone is not playing by the rules, if you know the traps, then don't keep falling into them. But asking your oppressor to make you whole, to me, shows that you're not getting it, that there's something still amiss here. And that's where the grift keeps surviving, is that people are still believing that, oh, well, the so-called people who have profited off of my oppression are going to stop it. I'll just sit back and wait. Thanks. Keep begging.
We know that school systems are related to the way that property taxes are affecting the school systems. If a school system is not getting the same property value as the property taxes allow it, then it's not going to have the same efficacy at allowing for students to be.
But not addressing Black on Black crime also factors into why you can't get the income and the gentrification and then the fact that we just blanket label gentrification as a negative. Okay. That's the reason your communities don't integrate. That's the reason why you don't have the class diversity in your neighborhoods, because I'm not moving over there so I can get shot. I'm not moving over there so someone can break into my home and bring my property values down. I'm not doing it. So that's why your school districts are failing.
Able to get what they deserve. When we talk about systemic racism, we have to acknowledge that these private prisons are literally built based on the test scores of school students in 3rd grade. So if you are literally building prisons with the onset of, okay, if these people are not reaching a certain
It says, while there is a direct correlation between literacy and education levels and incarceration rates, the claim that prisoner planners use that data to decide where to build has been debunked. Yeah, I mean, like, that would be such a waste of money to build a prison based on some 3rd grade rates, when honestly you have a steady flow regardless of people into prison, whether they get the education or not. It's just a mindset. It's how you grew up in your home. It's the loss of values. Like, I just hate that we're constantly depending on the government to fix things. Like, I don't think my parents at all were thinking, well, the school's going to be her only source of education. Like, they bought books, they read to me, they forced me to do things on my own and learn things on my own. That is an intellectual curiosity that you have to develop in your children. It's your responsibility as parents. The lack of accountability in our own households is so much of the issue.
Reading level, then we know that they're going to go down a prison industrial pipeline, or we can use their free labor. Then how is that not systemic? And if you want to
stop them from entering prisons,
how are you going to stop people from entering prisons if your goal is to get them into prison?
Sure, make them try to be more like Ben Carson than be like King Von. That's very, very simple.
So how does King Von happen? How does King Von happen?
King Von
reparations.
Hold on,
actually, no. Let me land the plane. We're
talking. Oh no, you're about to make a good point. Let me cut you off.
About reparations, and what you're doing is actually just trying to get this conversation off the facts. And the fact is, reparations are just and necessary because on a basic level, Black people built this country, and the country continues to thrive off of the labor that Black people put into this country. And it would behoove you, young man, to really understand the way that your ancestors put blood, sweat, and tears into this nation that is still living off of those blood, sweat, and tears. And let me
And to ignore the fact that we ourselves today are also living off the blood, sweat, and tears. Miss, I came from Grenada and imported myself here and implanted myself here to be the voice of Blackness, right? The reason that a lot of these immigrants even come here is through the blood, sweat, and tears of our ancestors. But the opportunities you have today are also a result of the blood, sweat, and tears of our ancestors. So to now sit here and act like there's no merit in America, there is no benefit here on this land for you, that there are no opportunities for you just based on the color of your skin, is again this victimhood mindset that many conservatives are propelled to propels them to this ideology as a counter to the widespread democratic victimhood mindset that's being spread. Like, we're not going to keep doing this. We see what the issue is, and that was mostly the platform for Black conservatives back in the era of Booker T. Washington and W.E. Du Bois. Like, we're not victims. Just leave us alone. Allow us to develop ourselves and develop our families. 2-parent households, to make sure our children are educated and fed, and that's up to us to do. Like, stop waiting on the government to make you whole. That's where you're going to continue to have the problem. But we can't see past that because it's, no, let me put my hand out, because that's so much easier than to say, you know what, I have room to breathe and I have these opportunities. Let's be a community and take advantage of it.
Also add, there are reparations and then there is remunerations. Do you know the difference?
Yes, but can I finish one point that I wanted to say?
Question.
Ben Carson.
He said yes.
I'm so sorry.
She's so disrespectful.
Okay. Please return to your seat.
She's so disrespectful.
I hope some of y'all are acting. I really do.
I hope some of y'all are acting. Girl, are you acting?
Hi, smart.
Oh, what's that on your chain?
This is a coin from Israel.
Lord have mercy.
Yes, you gotta go.
That's a choice that you are making for yourself.
Yes. The thing with the whole reparations thing, and I don't know, we're probably close to the same.
A nasty woman, as Trump would say.
I'm 32.
I'm 44.
Oh, really? Oh, you look young.
Thank you. That's what water and keeping stress out of your life will do.
Really?
Sure.
Liberal positions are real stressful.
By the way, I wouldn't know. I'm not a liberal. Carry on.
Well, it's the liberal position, because conservatives believe in hard work. We believe in going to work and working for what you got, not asking for handouts from people who never had slaves. Some of the people that you're asking for money from never had slaves. And let's talk about the fact there were also Black people that had slaves. So if you want to talk about that, how is that fair? If I'm a white person and my family fall on the side of the Union, why should I have to pay for slaves when this whole country was never all racist? Some of the founding fathers were abolitionists, and they hated slavery. And they actually put things in the Declaration of Independence and things too, because they believed that there'll be a future where there would be a Black president one day, or that there would be people in leadership that were Black. There was people in the North who helped with the Underground Railroad and fought with the Union. So why is that fair for people who never had slaves, who fought against slavery?
He's cooking. Look at her over there like, damn, how am I going to say something?
That had slaves.
One, from my understanding, you are more interested in preserving the fairness of those who didn't have slaves than the fairness of those who are the descendants of slaves. That is priority to you than finding a fair way to accommodate those who have been the descendant of slaves.
Why can't
Well,
both happen at the same
asking
time?
for handouts. They were asking for equal opportunity, and we have equal opportunity in this country. We had a black president, just in case you didn't know. We had a black president, and we had a black vice president. I mean, I think she was black. They said she was black. I don't know. So we had a black president, and you know who voted for that black man? White people, because you can't win a popular election in this country without white people.
Look at her face.
Barack Obama is the product of white people. So let's get off this thing where, oh, America is so racist. What's making America so racist is people that continue to talk about racism and continue to focus on racism instead of focusing on unity and bringing our country forward. People that have these liberal mindsets,
she can't say shit,
infecting our communities, black people, and making us victims and not victors. I refuse to embrace a victim mentality because that's not what our grandparents and Harriet Tubman and those people fought for. They fought for equal
not bring
opportunity.
up Harriet Tubman's name.
She had nothing. She had absolutely nothing. So now it's don't bring up Harriet Tubman's name. You see this? She is such a fraud.
In vain, baby, please.
Let's say the Lord's name in vain. Lord's name.
Harriet Tubman was literally saving her family and others from slavery.
Yeah. You know who helped her? White people.
You know who helped her?
They were on the Underground Railroad.
No.
So here's the fact check. Harriet Tubman directly rescued more than 60 people and provided assistance to dozens of others during her journeys to freedom. Harriet Tubman received help from free and enslaved African Americans and whites, including the Quakers. That's what's like. You can't keep saying this country is completely built on racism when you could not have had free blacks without whites helping them.
You know who helped her?
Come on in.
You know who helped her?
God. And
people who benefit from white supremacy. One of the things.
What? So the Quakers benefit from white supremacy. John Brown benefited from white supremacy. Like, do you hear this crazy woman? Look at her face.
No, sir, that's simply not true.
Absolutely a lie.
If that were not the case, then we wouldn't see the continued effort of colonialism.
And if that's not the case, then the Union and the Democrats, the so-called, descendants, ancestors of the current Democratic Party, was the same thing. I mean, like, because you got the KKK who was fighting to uphold, Jim Crow and the slave class, right? And then as things transitioned with, Roosevelt's the New Deal and everything, and everybody kind of jumped ship and flipped parties. Now you're looking at the same mentality of white supremacy, using our trauma of slavery as a cover for them to continue our oppression. So what is she talking about? They freed the slaves to keep us enslaved? Yeah, okay. If those are the people you're talking about, you're not talking about the people who helped Harriet Tubman. You're confused.
Colonialism and white people placing themselves in positions of power when
they
do not have the power.
Because their culture, black culture, is toxic. The black culture is toxic. We have produced a culture that is toxic. And let's get on the fact that there's no fathers in the black home. Let's talk about that.
Not the whataboutism. So white culture isn't toxic. Is that what she's getting ready to say? If it is toxic, it's toxic in a way that helps elevate their own communities. If it's toxic in a way that we're still asking them to give us some money back. And we know they got it.
Stop.
Let's talk about that.
None of this is gonna work if y'all are just gonna sit here and make up shit. It's not gonna work.
You just made up shit. Harriet Tubman's alliances were with people who wanted to perpetuate white supremacy. What? Yes, free the slaves so that the whites can be in more power.
No, it's a debate has to be in facts.
You're putting off emotional liberalism.
I am not putting off emotional liberalism. You're putting off unfounded lies based in conservatism.
Misinformation. Remember they did the
misinformation. Killing her.
Remember where everything
Look at this
conservative
man.
did? They said
You're carrying
misinformation,
a chain around your neck of an apartheid nation that actively wants to harm Black people and
What about the
non-Jewish
apartheid?
people.
What
But
about
let
when-
me bring it
What
back.
about when
Let
black
me bring
people
it
were
back.
selling black people
Let me
in
bring
Africa?
it. That was not happening in
put
the
them in
context that you're
cages,
saying.
and they were selling
Let's
their
bring
own
it
people.
back.
Black
Oh,
people still sell
okay.
their
oh
own people
wow.
today.
How did we get here then, ma'am? How did we get here then, ma'am? Somebody open the door and let us get on them ships. I just want you to know.
Too, by
I don't
the
know
way.
if I'm gonna last.
We're selling our
You're
own
not.
people
I don't know
too.
if I'm gonna
You
last.
probably won't last with me.
I won't, because your ignorance is so
See,
overwhelming.
y'all, that's liberals. Y'all start name calling when y'all
No,
getting
it's
defeated
not
in an
name
argument.
calling. You won't have an argument because you keep cutting me off.
Oh, well, that's fine. If they don't let me come
You
back
won't
up,
even.
I made my
You won't.
point.
You didn't make your
I made
point.
You
my
did.
point.
You haven't
And
made
I'm
your
okay
point.
with being
And let me
voted
just
out.
tell you about your point. You started off.
You did
saying,
make your point, but then
"We
let's
believe
discuss
in
it.
hard work.
Yeah.
And we believe in being compensated."
Reparations is not, though. Reparations is not hard work. It's stealing. It's Robin Hood.
You said you believe in hard work.
Yes.
And you believe in being compensated for hard work.
Yes.
Were slaves
He said
compensated
yes.
for their work?
They weren't compensated for their work. But why should
That-
people who are sitting at home playing video games,
Exactly.
smoking marijuana,
Are you sitting at
be
home playing a
giving
video game?
checks?
Are
But
you
the
sitting at
people that
home
they-
playing a
the
video
Now
game?
it's a
people that they
personal
want
attack.
Am I sitting at
reparations
home
for,
playing a video game? No.
The people
And
they
I don't
want
know what
reparations
I don't
for.
know who these people are that you're talking about, because the majority of the
Now they
Black
don't
community
exist.
is not sitting at home playing
The
video
majority
games.
of the Black
Where are you
community is
getting
doing a
that
lot of
statistic?
things.
Where are you
A lot
getting
of
that
things is
statistic?
not right. I've been-
Pause. You've been voted out by the majority. Please return to your
Ooh.
seat.
I knew I was going to be surrounded by
The
it.
30% of Black people on welfare is probably that statistic that he's quoting. I'm not saying that all of them are doing that, but like, come on, like, don't be ridiculous, Amanda.
Parents, but damn, let's go.
She is utterly ridiculous. So I got to get out of here, but let me pull up this one more
My
because
hands
this
wet
one
from
was
the- from the-
insane.
Hard to lay down and have children with, not being.
Per year, we know that we can. I will do it, but ultimately permanently violent. Look at this. And then people went and actually matched the names that they were booking with the faces of the actual people incarcerated. And it was proven that they were lying.
So that's one. So that's one instance.
That's
Hold on.
one
No, you're talking to
example.
somebody that works as a police dispatcher when I'm not making content. So here's the thing.
Oh, I
So
see.
no. You see
Well,
what the
you
truth is. You're about to see the truth if you just give me a second. Like Trump said, just give me a second. I'm going to do the weave, but give me a minute.
Well, here's
So
what
when
you all keep
no,
doing. You
just
keep
give me-
interrupting me when
Well,
I'm talking, and you don't want to hear the
but
point that I'm
points
going to
are-
make.
the point
That
is-
I'm
Yet
going to
you want
make
me
because
to
you don't
respect
get to
your
it.
point.
You're
And
just
that's not how a
arguing
debate
for
works.
argument's
So if
sake.
you want me to keep getting louder, I will do it. But ultimately, if I show you respect, give me the respect back. I let you talk. I let you make your points. I am countering your points. And my points are just as valid as yours, even though you got a pocket square and a Church of Christ pin on your chest.
It's not a Church of Christ. It's
Whatever.
A cross.
It's a cross. Same difference. You got an American flag and you think you know something because you a cop. And ultimately,
So disrespectful. Do you hear the seething hate for just Black dissent? She does. If she can't put you in her box, you are an enemy.
Not a cop
and
dispatcher. There's a
ultimately
difference.
it's a cab all day over here. So let me make that clear. But let me also add to my point. My point is that
They
you
just
can
laugh at
sit
her.
here and blame Black people on Black people all day long and not acknowledge that we are forced into. You're coming to interrupt me
I
again.
haven't even said a word.
All right, that is.
He
flat,
literally
so I'm gonna ask you
breathed.
to return to your seat.
She
It's
is
a waste of my time.
She is
Y'all just
mental.
want to be seen. I don't need to be seen.
With Monday.com's intuitive work management platform, you
What a
Hello.
mental
How are you? I'm
Yes,
Jasmine.
person.
Ladies.
Say less outfit. Okay.
Thank you.
So this is my thing. I think the premise of your question was Black on Black crime. So I think I'm coming from a place, and I guess my issue is having had my biological father murdered by a Black man, having had my cousin shot in the head by a Black man. We can talk numbers and statistics and what the people are doing, and what the white man is doing, and all that. But at the end of the day, I see when my family lives on the south side of Chicago, and I think you and I both can attest to this. I'm
Outside.
not saying that they're not other factors, but we know that we kill each other at a disproportionate rate than any other race. Now, why we do that and why 6,000 to 9,000 Black men are going to be homicided or killed or whatever by the end of the year annually by other Black men, whereas the likelihood of a Black man being killed by a white police officer is less than 150 per year. We know that we kill each other at a higher rate. So I'm not debating.
So here's the fact check. Police have killed on average 238 Black men per year since 2017, about 58% more than 150 per year.
that they're not factors at play, but because I've lived the experience as a Black woman, losing my father to be murdered by a Black man, walking down the street,
by the way.
No worries, thank you. But walking down the street in inner cities and different things, knowing that it's more likely that my own brother will rob and rape me than a white man or a white officer, we got to be real.
What's your proximity to white men?
The dumbest response ever. The dumbest response ever. What is your proximity to white men? We already talked about per capita. We already talked about how Black on Black crime. I think that came up earlier in one of the segments that I might maybe skipped over. But everybody that has looked at these stats, with an open mind, at least, or some intellect, knows that, of course, your proximity to your own race is a huge factor into who's going to commit the crimes against you. So for her to sit there and then go, now, what's your proximity to white men, as the counter to the fact that Black people are killing each other at a disproportionately high rate, as she already said. It's not the fact that it's happening Black on Black because there is white on white and Asian on Asian due to proximity. So bringing up white proximity is insane right now, when the issue is that it's happening more. It's happening more to us than everyone else. We're a smaller part of the population, but we're killing each other more than anyone else. Yes, other people are doing it. We are doing it more. And then, like someone said, when you're looking at the statistics for domestic violence, it's a lot higher for that's what a majority of the white on white crime is considering. So yeah, they have a separate issue for sure. But when we're talking about, I'm just walking down the street and a stranger, that we just had a guy in Chicago on a live stream get his chain snatched and murdered. And then what are we going to say? That's a crime of poverty? What are we going to say? White supremacy did that? No. So bringing up what's your proximity to white men is crazy right now. It's super disrespectful, given that she opened up with a very personal account and then you gave her this fake empathy.
In the South Side of Chicago, are there even white men around to rob and rape you at the same rate that there are Black?
Of course not. That's literally the point, is the Black on Black crime is happening at a disproportionate rate. So for you to bring up there's not enough white men on the South Side of Chicago to make this a factor, well, duh. Just like there's not enough Black people in white neighborhoods to make that a factor. You're literally a moot point.
Men?
There are white men around
at the same rate.
There wasn't a lot of Black people in there, but then that doesn't justify the fact that we're destroying each other. So even if
exactly.
nothing like
we can agree on that.
Okay, because I feel like a lot of
nothing
times
justifies.
Like, well,
I'm not a liberal. I am not a liberal. I'm not
okay,
a liberal.
we heard you. Shut the fuck up and let her finish. Jesus.
Have your stance that are against conservatives, maybe
they
have
this girl.
They're making it up. They're making up the numbers. We know that we do that to each other. So I want to get to the root of the issue. Why are we killing each other? I think the root of the issue is we've lost our values and we've lost our resilience as Black people. We sit there and we talk about what the white man did, and we talk about slavery and everything like that, but we have no self-accountability and say, you know what, at the end of the day, that is my Black grandmother, that is my Black sister, you are my Black sister, and you know that a Black man is more likely to rob you or commit some type of crime against you. And that's what we need to get down to the issue of. And like you were talking about earlier, like, hey, well, what's going on? What do you think the answer is to one of the brothers that were speaking? I think it's the breakdown of the family. I think, like he said, because of our poor choices, and what happens is we look at domestic violence, for example. When domestic violence, women or men are even attacked, what is the first thing we say? Is like, you know what, it's not your what? It's not your fault. So that's what we do. We hold on to this narrative that, well, it's not our fault, and the issues in our community, they're not our fault, and the white man needs to give us something. The old white lady down the street is looking at me, and I don't know why she got braids in her hair. And we focus on all these other stupid things that don't matter. We don't get to the root of the fact that we're killing each other at a higher rate than any other race. It is self-hatred amongst us. I believe that we can do that. That my mom's cousin, coming from the church parking lot, and guess who stuck her up and robbed her at gunpoint? A Black man.
I need you to get to the point.
Like,
so I can.
I need you to get to the point, bitch. She told you that you can't keep looking at these other issues and then ignore the biggest part of the whole snowball of problems. Yes, there's been disinvestment in Black communities. Yes, we've been over surveilled and over policed. But you're not helping it when you have the breakdown of the Black family. You're so anti-patriarchy and you're so anti-individualism that you no longer take care of your home, that you no longer close your legs and make sure that who you're having children with is someone that you have potential to build a legacy with, that you're no longer allowing the government to create a crutch for you so that you can continue to have children that you're not going to take care of, and then put that mind state into them where they're unable to build wealth and build legacy and own properties, because your disproportionate violence rate, because of all this anger and aggression, because of all these unaddressed mental health issues, because we're going to blame everybody else.
point is that no, and I'm not trying to be funny, unless like you said, we're gonna keep it respectful.
Yeah,
so
but you're monopolizing the whole conversation. And
I'm
we're
not
not
trying.
being
Okay, I'm
able
gonna let
to.
you speak, but let's not get the
Yes.
attitudes and stuff because you're my sister and I respect you. So
I
how
don't
Period.
have an attitude. I'm being direct
But how
to you,
you
but you're
talk to them,
literally
you're not gonna
speaking
talk
this,
to me.
and you're not going to
Period.
do that with
Check
me.
her
either.
A.
So
So
you're
I'm
stating your
respecting you.
point, and you've been stating your point for quite some
So
time.
say
you have
the
a
proper
reason
ways.
for
Would
me
you
to
like? Would
respond.
you, would you allow me to respond? So that's a better response. Go ahead.
The response that I have for you is
Okay.
that everything you're saying does not exist in a vacuum. I actually agree with you in that, yes, there has been an incredible denigration of Black worth and Black pride in this nation. I think it's also very important to acknowledge what has contributed to that. And to state that it is only Black people that have contributed to that is a false flag.
She didn't even say that. She didn't say only Black people, but you refuse to take any accountability at all.
So we have to admit that. So in order to have this conversation around how we got here, you can't say, oh, well, we're caring about the white woman getting braids and that doesn't matter and this thing. All of that attaches. All of that is actually a very big part of the lack of worth of Black.
White women getting braids in their hair, y'all, is what's wrong with the Black community. Did y'all hear this? Some white girl putting box braids in her head, getting locks, doing Black speak, dating Taekwon. That is what's wrong with our community, guys. So if we make sure we stop Black white women from appropriating our hairstyles, most of our issues go away. Amanda Seals.
People.
I'll ask you, do you think we're resilient? What does resilience mean to you? Do you think we have to be perpetual victims, or do you think that Black people are resilient?
I think that those are two different conversations. I think that the concept of Black people being victims is really trying to not provide accountability to where the root problem for the actual cause is. And if we keep saying that somebody is a victim and that doesn't mean that the other person should have to actually have accountability, then what are we really doing? You can do both. You can be a victim and be resilient.
How do we do both if you stay in the victimhood? That's my question.
But your statement about Black people staying in the victim place is also your point of view.
But how do we rise above it?
We continue to rise above it by one, pouring into our communities with mutual aid, but two, by simultaneously making sure that we are challenging the systems that are in place to impede us. We have so many opportunities where we are trying to do mutual aid, and those things get disrupted by folks who want to have capitalist gain, by folks who want privatization. We used to have all these mom and pop businesses in our communities.
There's over 3 million Black millionaires in America right now. You are an intelligent Black woman that is successful.
That's irrelevant.
No one's stopping me from doing anything. I'm an intelligent Black woman that graduated and is
efforts have
successful.
tried to stop me.
And how is attacking privatization and capital gains going to help Black businesses? Because as far as I can tell, Black businesses can also profit from those exact policies. So small business has the opportunity to take advantage of those same benefits.
From doing what I do. We are not all equal in our capabilities. And we are not all equal in our...
We're not all equal in our capabilities. So again, back to the victimhood, nobody's doing it except you. You just got through saying that Black people are not being the perpetual victims, but you literally keep falling back on this victim mindset. We can't, we don't, we won't, we don't have, please help, give it.
Ability to be invested in by others.
I agree with
we
you.
are not all
That's my question
equal in
of
our
resilient.
trauma.
Are we resilient?
We can't say because it is a false equivalency.
I believe that every Black person has resilience.
We
from
keep
slavery
trying,
all the way
but
until
we
today.
keep trying to cause.
I'm so sorry. You've been voted out.
All right, so I'm done with this. This lady is she's just a piece of work, and I encourage you all maybe to watch the rest, maybe not, because it's probably better for you that doesn't happen. But I do have one thing here to leave you with. There is a quote so I was doing my research on another project, which I'm going to do a video on the displacement in plain sight regarding how the mass migration under the Biden administration and our sanctuary city status here in Chicago, Illinois, placed a disproportionate burden on Black communities that were already suffering, and is in some ways equivalent to settler colonialism and its effects, but is often aligned with the Great Replacement theory as some paranoid, reactionary, white supremacist mindset, when in fact Black people have a sort of dual citizenship in a way that we exercise Black nationalism that can't really be thrown into this blanket idea of aligning with conservative, traditional alt-right or most conservative white opinion. But basically, there was this research piece by Marcus A. Brooks, The New Black Right, A Paranoid Turn to Black Conservatism, that went over a lot of social media influencers, Black conservatives, and just basically broke down how their thought is not necessarily aligned with white supremacist structures, how we may need to look more into how the thought processes are coming into play and not take a blanket stroke or, a broad stroke over Black conservative thought. And so there's just this idea of this paranoid style of reactionary conservatism, which is from a quote from this Brooks article. This style of political rhetoric is characterized by influencers' claims that, one, they have experienced status loss, not as Black people, but as moral, patriotic, and Christian Americans. Two, the status loss is the result of coordinated campaign to weaken the country, traditional values, and Christian hegemony. And three, the campaigns are carried out by ungodly and un-American people within the country, and that act in self-defense against them is a moral and patriotic necessity. People like Amanda Seales don't identify with America. They honestly hate America. And this is what you get. And you get a lot of these, I'm not saying all immigrants are like this, but a lot of these Black immigrants have a disdain for America, a deep-rooted envy for America, and honestly, a subconscious envy of Black Americans who have been multi-generational and ADOS or FBA. So she gets up here and she calls herself a Black radical, and that she's arguing for reparations for Blacks, which I think she may honestly feel like we deserve the reparations. But the idea of that we're constantly victims is part of that immigrant supremacy, Black immigrant supremacy, that is kind of subversive in how it's carried out. And I think she's a perfect example of that. And so this is where you get this so-called quote unquote paranoid reactionism from Black conservatives, because we sense that. We sense that these people are coming in here and further victimizing us. Like the young man was saying in the debate, there were Blacks who were sold into slavery by other Blacks. There were Blacks who were enslaved by other Blacks. So to pretend that Black people can't carry out oppression on other Blacks is crazy. And then now to act like, you can't understand Black on Black crime being disproportionate in our neighborhoods or even acknowledge it is part and parcel of the issue. But there's lots of Black conservatives out here who are trying to advocate for themselves and wake up a lot of other Black people. And this is the continuous idea of trying to label us as anti-Black, when in fact we're probably the most loving like Black loving people that you will know, because we are not going to allow us to think less of ourselves. As a parent of a child, you don't want your child to feel like a victim. If you see your child getting bullied, most loving parents who are in their right frame of mind are going to empower their child to stand up for themselves. They're not going to go and stand in for every fight they have. They're not going to say, go beg the principal, go beg the teacher, to defend you. They're going to tell you how to say what you got to say back to this person and get them to stand down, how to defend yourself physically if it comes down to that. It's the same idea. That when you love someone, you're going to give them the tools to fight for their own salvation. Not saying that reparations is not one of those tools, but the reparations alone, without acknowledging that Black people have their own part in why they are the victim and why they are living in this, disarray. Like I said, if you don't keep a family unit together, if you're not conscious of who you're reproducing with and how many children you're bringing in that you're not able to take care of, and not future focused and not wealth building, and not aware of how Black on Black crime in your neighborhood perpetuates more of the same issues. You're not going to have the economic vitality if you're constantly worried about, crime. We have the broken windows theory and all these other things that go back into feeding this feedback loop of Black poverty and violence in our communities. It's just a constant cycle. And like you said, the school systems are disinvested. Well, you're not going to have the property taxes to do that if your neighborhood is violent and nobody wants to move into your neighborhood. If you're you're constantly attacking gentrification as if it's necessarily always a bad thing, but then also realizing that redlining and that block busting and that hyper segregation in your neighborhoods is most of the issue into why your neighborhoods do not receive the funding that they need to then stop the school to prison pipeline. Because then now you have the funds to invest in your schools. Like, we have to start really thinking about what we're doing to contribute to our own problems. But Blacks who've been brainwashed by liberals, white liberals, the Democratic Party, do not want you to look at the issues, do not want you to take accountability, do not want you to step out of your victimhood and start to think on your own and live on your own and fall back on, patriarchal or Christian values, because then, you'll have men in the home that are strong and that are taking care of their families and leading and providing. And then you won't need the government to be your daddy. And then they won't have their perpetual grift to live and make money off of. So if you guys want to look into that Brooks article, there was a lot there. I think it was very the research that really broke down some of the racialized stereotypes against Black conservatives, and I think it's worth looking into. But there's the whole idea of victimhood is really the central focus of that, and getting away from that and really embodying Black conservative views and principles that were what got us out of Reconstruction, through Reconstruction, and allow for us to put in place a lot of the systems and the reparative work that laid the groundwork for many of these immigrants like Amanda Seales to come in and get and then profit and be uplifted off the backs of Black plight, while also telling us that we need help and we need someone to make us whole, when in fact we've made other people whole without making ourselves whole. So Black conservatives were part of that, of laying that groundwork. You wouldn't have had the New Deal without Black conservatism. You wouldn't have had public schooling without Black conservatism. You wouldn't have had Lyndon Johnson and the welfare system, because it was a response to that Black individualism. The Tulsa massacre and all of these Black communities that were wiped out were a result of the reaction to Black progress and individualism, and finding that, hey, we are in a meritocracy and we can do hard work and we are able and capable of doing the things that are necessary to build our communities and survive on our own. I think integration was a huge problem for us because we wanted a seat at their table and we allowed them to continue to spoon feed us our freedom, and we need to stop that. And I think that current Black conservative thought is trying to answer that in a way that wakes us up to what's going on. I think we have the same goals as a lot of Black liberals, as even Amanda Seales, that she says outright, but we're going about them in different ways. And I think Black liberals just don't want to have those conversations because it requires the heavy lifting of being accountable, the heavy lifting of actually looking at research and looking in the mirror and saying, damn, we are also the problem. And if anything, we're more the problem now than white people have ever been. I mean, you really need to start looking at it like that, because otherwise you'll never get out of the issue. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. That Brooks article, The New Black Right, was what I was reading from, and there's some other quotes in there. We may look into that separately on another video. And then there's another piece of work, research, the Black Pill, reconceptualizing the Black Right in the era of YouTube influencers, by Marissa Smith, Sarah Shugars, Shema Khanam, Adanma Mbonu, I'm so sorry, Sai, Krishna Madhav, Lella, and Christina Myers. We can also look at that on a separate video, I think, but I'll try to put them in the description. I appreciate y'all for being here. Let me know your thoughts about Amanda Seales, some of her other personal dramas, and how you feel about her on another level outside of this, and her rebranding as a artistic intellectual. Did she give off artistic intellectual? And what what your opinions were of some of the people on the Jubilee debates, And yeah, and let me know if there's anything else that I missed out here that was relevant to this video. And I look forward to seeing you guys again. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to contribute to my channel, it's Nicole Patrice Music on Cash App, or visit my website, NicoleCocoPatrice.com. All right, y'all, take care. Peace.